This is Tata, and welcome to this Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Sunday, October 13, 2024, and tonight I'll be talking about AEW WrestleDream, but joining me for this is none other than Michael 101591.
How you all doing? How you doing, Attila? Thank you for having me again.
Of course. Now, we were supposed to review this yesterday, but, with you being on the East Coast, this pay-per-view went past midnight for you.
Yeah, it ended at 12:30 here. I was like, no way me and Attila are reviewing this. These AEW pay-per-views need to get lowered. They need to end at like 10:30, 11 o'clock. No more after 12. Please.
Damn, that's 7:30 for me. See, that's the beauty of being on the West Coast, is that wrestling starts early for us and ends early.
Attila's so lucky to live on the West Coast.
Yeah, but anywho, we have quite a few things to talk about. And I still have not received my webcam. Actually, it's supposed to come Monday, so that's why I'm using my camera webcam on here, like my laptop camera.
Looks good.
The quality looks terrible.
It doesn't. It's all right.
All right, so let's kick things off talking about this AEW World Title match. It's Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. This was Bryan Danielson's final countdown. He had to win in order to keep wrestling full time, because remember what he said. He said that the minute he lost the title, he would officially stop retiring full time. So I thought this was actually a really good match.
Yeah, I thought this was a very good match as well.
And Jon Moxley ended up being victorious, and he put Bryan Danielson in a sleeper. And that pretty much meant that Bryan Danielson was forced to retire.
Yeah.
Which made sense. I don't know why people thought that there was a possibility that Bryan could win. I mean, it was in his home state of Washington. If he was going to go out, it made perfect sense for it to be in Washington.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, there was no other place where Bryan could have retired but in his home state of Washington.
Exactly. So at the end, as we know, BCC celebrate, and Wheeler Yuta and Darby Allin attack them. Now, it was interesting here because on Wednesday, it was Darby Allin and Bryan Danielson versus Claudio Castagnoli and Pac. Now, Bryan Danielson left poor Wheeler Yuta out there alone to fend for himself. Remember, I said that Wheeler would turn on Bryan. Granted, I did say he would probably cost him the title. I was wrong about that, but he did turn, and it seemed like
we saw this coming.
Yeah, but if you paid really close attention, he seemed to kind of hesitate, because when you look at Moxley giving him the bag, hold on, like right here, he kind of doesn't look too happy. Yeah, he looks really uncomfortable, and he proceeded to choke Bryan Danielson with that bag. So I do question whether him betraying Bryan Danielson was intentional, like he actually meant it, or if he was just being coerced into like turning on Bryan because he had no choice.
Or if this was a setup.
Yeah. So the baby faces come out. You got Private Party, you got Jeff Jarrett, you got Adam Cole, baby, Hook, and Orange Cassidy, and they all just come out. And one thing I did notice here is that if you paid attention to the final scene, is Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, they all seem so sad and upset about what happened, So I am definitely intrigued about this. I was expecting Shane O'Mac to come out, but it makes sense that he didn't come out. But given everything that happened, I do feel like he is coming to AEW, though.
They keep teasing this Shane McMahon coming. And it's like when, a pay-per-view, when like the first few pay-per-views came, we all thought that he would come, but unfortunately, no. And then people are going to start saying that that he'll come at Full Gear, but just
I was saying, fun fact, Danielson had his last Raw, SmackDown, AEW full-time matches against each member of the Zero. Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's cool. So,
but I'm so over of the fact that people are saying, "Oh, Shane's coming to AEW." I'll see it when I believe it.
Yeah, definitely. But another thing to notice here is commentary kept plugging about how they kept plugging Brian will retire from full time. So it seems to me like based on this angle that they did, it opens the door for Brian to come back. And I do think Brian will come back, but granted, he's not going to be a full-time wrestler anymore. I think he'll probably be a part-time wrestler. Like I could see him coming back, doing the storyline, and once the storyline concludes, he's gone.
Or I think he'll be a mentor backstage.
Yeah. Like I could see him doing like working the major shows. Like I could definitely see him working All Out.
Yeah, he'll be working the big AEW shows, like you said, All Out, Revolution, maybe.
But I don't think he's gonna be working all of the AEW shows, definitely. But I do see him working part-time. I don't think he's coming back anytime soon because he does need to get surgery. But I do think based on the way this angle was written, that it opens the door for him to come back at least part-time.
Only if if creative has something good for him.
Yeah,
I would think so.
But so it seems like we're heading into like it was like we keep mentioning, and it seems like AEW is setting up their own version of the invasion. So we'll have to wait and see where this goes. But I'm intrigued. What about you?
I'm kind of intrigued as well. I mean, like I said, people hyping up Shane McMahon coming in. I won't believe it until
he appears on that Titantron.
Appears on a Titantron, or just appears, from one of the tunnels and makes his way down to the ring.
Yeah, definitely. But overall, I really like the ending to WrestleDream.
Although the Tiller's idea sounds much better.
On the Titantron.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's kick things off talking about 0 Hour. So 0 Hour,
or as we call it, 1 hour rampage.
It did feel like a rampage. We had the ROH television title match. It was Brian Cage versus Atlantis Jr. I actually thought this was a pretty decent match. Brian Cage winning the ROH TV title.
Mm-hmm. Shocked that Brian Cage ended up winning the title. I mean, it was a pretty good match, though.
Yeah, pretty. I can't complain too much about this match. We got an MxM Collection interview, and we find out their third guy is Rico.
I guess Rico needed the money. Rico came out of retirement in how long? And this guy is a former tag team champion with Rikishi.
He still looks the same,
but older.
Yeah, I was not expecting Rico.
Well, when MxM ended up announcing that and then Rico came out there, I'm like, all right, this makes sense, because if you remember back in 2002 when Billy Gunn was still in WWE, they did that whole
Billy and Chuck
with Billy and Chuck, and Rico was their manager.
Yeah, no, I get that it made sense, but at that moment I'm like, Rico. It didn't click until commentary mentioned. I was like, okay, yeah, it makes total sense.
And Billy Gunn ended up getting his revenge on Rico years later.
Yeah, definitely. We had Anna Jay versus Harley Cameron, which honestly I didn't think was a bad match either. Anna Jay's definitely improved. Like, as they keep mentioning, she went to Stardom, which I feel like has helped her. I definitely think that she's gotten a lot better. And Anna Jay did win this match. I'm not surprised that she won. I wasn't expecting Harley Cameron to win this.
Yeah, good on Anna Jay. And also, we forgot to mention the Acclaimed end up winning, which is good for them.
We haven't even got into that match.
MxM is terrible.
We haven't gotten into that match. You're jumping away. Harley Harley is improving too. She's improving. Like I said, she's a great singer. If you haven't heard some of her songs, you should check it out. My favorite is The Inspiration, because that was the theme song to The Inspiration, aka formerly The Iconics.
Yeah, Harley Cameron's terrible in the ring.
But she's getting better.
Awful.
So we have a Mercedes Moné segment, and basically Queen Amanita tells her not be rude for no reason, and that's true. She was just being rude to those poor people.
Yeah, and they're having the match this Wednesday on Dynamite, which I don't care.
Yeah, Mercedes Moné is probably going to win that one.
Does anybody care?
We got Antonio and Inoki tribute, and just like last year, paid tribute to Antonio. Tony does his famous chant. I thought this was a nice little tribute.
It was a nice tribute, but also very cringe as well, because TK is out there. He's doing the chant. It's like he's a fanboy. Like he came off so over the top.
He's probably just trying to pay tribute and do the tribute justice,
Yeah.
So you get the Acclaim versus MxM Collection. I actually did like this match.
Awful.
I thought I was pulling for MxM Collection to win here. I felt like they should have won this match. But that was just me. But like you said, Daddy has to get his revenge on Rico. Yeah. He hit him with the famous sir.
Awful.
He hit him with the famous sir.
Now, do you think Rico is elite now that he's going to be a copy in MxM, or do you think this was just a one-off?
Probably just a one-off. I don't see him sticking around. I haven't read any reports.
Yeah, there's no news about it, so I guess it's probably a one-off.
And the last match on Zero Hour was Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and the Outrunners versus Premier Athletes and Dark Order. This was actually also surprisingly fun. And the Outrunners are really over. They're actually pretty funny.
Yeah, and Premier Athletes are just absolutely boring.
I
just don't care about them.
I think my favorite spot in this match was when Turbo Floyd, he was doing the power slam to Ari Daivari, to John Silver, to Tony Nese, and to Alex. He was just power slamming everybody left and right here. Yeah,
Turbo Floyd's pretty good.
Yeah, I really like their gimmick.
Yeah, they need to be on TV more.
I agree. They should have a run with the tag titles.
Yeah, I agree, but Tony Khan sees them as Rampage Collision material.
I wouldn't mind them seeing on Dynamite.
I wouldn't mind seeing them on Dynamite either.
So Orange Cassidy, Kyle, and the Outrunners were victorious here, which, again, I'm happy with this. The Outrunners are pretty cool. Last but certainly not least, we had an Okada segment. And basically, Kyle O'Reilly is setting his eyes on Okada. He wants a match. A brawl breaks out. Christopher Daniels separates them. And definitely seems like they're setting up a match there.
Yeah. I think so.
All right, so now, so that concluded Zero Hour.
Thank God we rushed through that.
Overall, I felt like Zero Hour, like you said earlier, was just a regular episode of Rampage. I did enjoy the matches though. So,
it was.
It wasn't too bad.
But I just got the feeling of watching our Rampage on pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the main card kicks off with Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. This was a good match. I thought this was a fun match. Like, I didn't know which way this match was gonna go. I thought it could have gone either way.
Yeah, same.
But Hangman was losing it during this match. He wanted to whip Jay White with his belt.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But that knee breaker that Jay White did to Hangman on the side of the ramp, that looked like it hurt.
Oh yeah. You just heard that thump on the ramp.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I really liked about this was how much Hangman was playing up the crowd. Like, he came out, he was flipping off the crowd. He flipped off the crowd in the middle of this because they kept chanting, "Whose house?" Swerve's house. I really, really like that.
Yeah, total heel there from Page.
Mm-hmm. He did a really good job at his role. But Jay White was victorious, so it makes sense, especially if Jay White is in line for a title shot. He had to win this.
Yeah, he needed the win because he just came back.
Mm-hmm.
No way you're gonna give the loss to Jay White, because then that would be awful if they made him lose. Because he just came back.
Yeah, I agree. So, but overall, good match. Next, we get the AEW Women's World Title match of Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale. This was also a really good match.
Yeah, Mariah May is just absolutely entertaining as the Women's World Champion.
She is. I mean, I'm not surprised that Mariah May won here. I didn't think Willow was going to beat her for a second. But yeah, she did a really good job. I'm digging her as AEW Women's Champion.
This was all Mariah May's match.
Yeah, it was.
And let's hope she has a long reign with the title.
Definitely. All right, so next, speaking of championships, next we got the TNT title match. It's Jack Perry versus Katsuyori Shibata. This match was okay.
It was, in my opinion.
I think this match was more about what happened at the end than about the match itself. So Jack Perry was victorious, and the way he won, like, you could tell there's definitely a rematch coming because Shibata had him in a sleeper, but he fell, and Perry landed on top of him, which is the reason why Perry retained his title.
Yeah, but obviously I knew that Jack Perry was retaining. I didn't buy Shibata beating Jack Perry.
So Daniel Garcia comes out to confront Jack Perry, and as you all know, Daniel Garcia had called out all the champions, basically letting them know that he was coming after the champions. And then MJF came back and confronted Daniel Garcia, but
all for MJF coming back. Thank God.
Oh my God, MJF compared Daniel Garcia's bidding war to Seattle Supersonics. This reminds me of when Elias mentioned the Supersonics and they were booed to oblivion.
Oh God, don't want to remember Elias.
I like Elias.
Awful character.
But that's not the only thing that happened during this segment. So, and not only did MJF come back, Adam Cole, baby, came back during this segment too.
And that was totally unexpected.
Yeah, I was not expecting Adam Cole, baby.
Actually,
but he helped. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
He helped Daniel Garcia up, so it seems like Adam Cole, baby, is a baby face here.
Yeah, and a lot of people are complaining about that. They're like, oh, well, Adam Cole was a heel and MJF was a baby face. Now the roles are switched. So you know that.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that that I can understand why some people are complaining, because you have to remember, like, Adam Cole took everything from MJF, and it would make sense if MJF was the babyface and Adam Cole the hero, because Adam Cole is a devil. He was in charge of the Undisputed Kingdom, which went nowhere, but that's a different story. So it would make more sense for them to switch roles here.
Yeah, but I didn't mind it. I don't mind it. But it's good that they're going back to this feud now between Adam Cole and MJF.
Well, we have to see if they are going to go back to it, because remember, MJF did below Adam Cole when he came back the other time, like at Double or Nothing, when he made that appearance. So we have to wait and see. But if Adam Cole's going to be the face, they should move away from this feud.
Yeah,
at least that's what I think. All right, we got a 3-way for the AEW International Title match: Ricochet versus Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. This was my match of the night.
Yeah, this was the best match of the night by far.
This was hands down the best match of the entire night.
Yeah, and the crowd was really into it as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, Will Ospreay and Ricochet, like, they double teamed Takeshita here.
Mm-hmm.
But Takeshita really held his own against them. He took them both out on the outside. So when he put Ricochet to the table.
That was a good spot there.
Mm-hmm. It was. But let's talk about how this match ended, because I had called this. I said that Kyle Fletcher was going to turn on Will Ospreay, and I was right.
You were right.
I was wrong about the way it happened, how it was going to happen, but I was right. I had said that if you go back and you watched when Fletcher and Ospreay took on the Bucks, you can see Kyle Fletcher's face and how disappointed he was because he was willing to use that screwdriver, but Will Ospreay stopped him. And if you look at his face, he looked so disappointed at Will Ospreay. So, and not to mention when after MJF took the international title away from Ospreay, what happened? He fought MJF and MJF made him bleed. And where was Will Ospreay? He didn't come out till after MJF made him bleed. So it made sense that Kyle Fletcher was going to turn on Will Ospreay here.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, he wasn't surprised about the turn.
Yeah, but one of the things that I like was Will Ospreay's reaction after Kyle Fletcher hits him. He just looks at him like, like he's shocked. And because of this, Konosuke Takeshita ends up being victorious, and he's a new international champion. Takeshita is actually a phenomenal talent. I'm glad that they finally gave him a belt.
Yeah, Takeshita needed the belt.
Yeah, he definitely did. And at the end, to add insult to injury, Kyle Fletcher hit Will Ospreay with that Tiger Driver, the same move that he was so hesitant to use ever since he hurt Bryan Danielson. Well, Kyle Fletcher didn't even hesitate to use it on Will Ospreay.
Yeah, he really wanted to use it on him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to set up Ospreay versus Fletcher at Full Gear.
Oh, I could see that happening. Now, I do question where Mark Davis fits into all of this when he comes back, if he comes back.
I think he's going to choose whether he will go with Ospreay or Fletcher.
Yeah. I definitely think the United Empire is done for, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's over for them.
Yeah, for sure. So next we get Jerry Lynn and Orange Cassidy interview, and he's pretty much just telling Orange Cassidy he could be the man, and even Hook tells Orange Cassidy he could be the man. So I feel like this was just done to kind of like hype up Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, typical momentum for Orange Cassidy.
Mm-hmm. So next we get the Swerve Strickland segment. So you and I thought, and maybe everybody else did, maybe we're not alone on this, but we all thought Bobby Lashley was going to debut during this segment.
Yeah. Disappointed.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed too, but I guess, I mean, think about it. Bryan Danielson lost. They probably didn't want to do that to Swerve Strickland either in his home state,
I guess because if Bobby Lashley would have debuted tonight, I think that would have, Bobby Lashley debuted last night. I think it would have overshadowed that.
Yeah, because this segment was about Swerve Strickland. Mm-hmm. I did like the fact that Swerve Strickland was kind of like, he did kind of blame Nana for all the stuff that happened, but he also did realize that Nana helped him, mm-hmm. and he called Nana family. So, but this is definitely setting up for Bobby Lashley's debut, because now that Strickland turned out MVP's offer, MVP, if you notice, as he was walking away, was tapping at his watch, meaning that clock is ticking.
Now maybe we might see Bobby Lashley on Dynamite, or he'll be at Full Gear.
Yeah, I could see it. I think more than likely at Dynamite. Maybe not this coming Dynamite, or who knows, maybe
the following week on Dynamite.
Yeah, but I definitely think that he'll probably debut before Full Gear.
Yeah. And then probably get Swerve versus Bobby Lashley at Full Gear.
Mm-hmm. So we get a 2 out of 3 falls match, Hologram versus Beast Mortos, and this was a good match.
Good match.
This was a fun match, honestly. But I knew it was going to be tight. I was like, it's going to come down to that last fall.
Yeah, of course. I knew it as well, that it was going to come, that they were both going to be tied up.
I have to say, I feel like they included this match because of that deal that they have with Fox Sports Mexico. I mean, even Carlos Cabrera was on the Spanish announce team. So, but this was a fun match. I'm not complaining.
And Hologram ended up winning.
Yes, he ended up winning. So his undefeated streak continues.
His undefeated streak is still intact.
Can't wait
More
to see
Hologram on Dynamite.
we need that to make that a hashtag. Hologram on Dynamite.
Hashtag get Hologram on Dynamite. Hashtag that out on Twitter, guys.
Yes, but all right. Overall, fun match. Next we get Darby Allin versus Brody King, which I also thought was a fun match.
It was okay, in my opinion.
Oh my god, when he landed on those steel steps, I was like, oh, I felt that in my back.
Yeah, that was completely hard to watch. Like, you heard that thump. I was like, man, his back is broken.
I was like, ooh, my back. I was like, Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man. My back.
My back. Such a classic scene. Or JR going, oh my god, he's broken in half.
Darby Allin won this, which was no surprise. Again, he's from the state of Washington. They were going to make Darby Allin lose here.
No, of course not.
But Brody King shakes his hand, so obviously he earned Brody King's respect here. All right. Next we get the AEW World Tag Team Title Match, the Bucks versus Private Party. I have to say, like, this match was pretty interesting because there was a part of me, even though you and I both called the Bucks to retain, watching this match, there was a slight part of me that was kind of like, okay, maybe Private Party will pull it off, you know?
There were points where it looked like they were going to pull it off.
Yeah, I kind of thought they were towards the end, but then as the end drew near, I was like, okay, yeah, they're definitely not winning this.
I think that the Bucks' family was at ringside, so when I saw that, I'm like, yep, they're retaining.
Oh, they were at ringside?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Because I think Matthew Jackson posted a photo on Instagram and showed, like, I guess his daughter was at ringside.
Oh, okay.
So I saw that, I'm like, yep, they're retaining. They don't want to let the family down.
Yeah, it makes sense, honestly. But you know what? And maybe they're pairing it seems like they might pair them with Stokely Hathaway. So maybe they will eventually become tag team champions. And they were out there trying to save Bryan Danielson. So
yeah, I think when they become the tag team champions, it's gonna happen once Stokely Hathaway is with them.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, there's the photo right there coming from Matthew Jackson.
Oh, cool.
What his daughter's in front row.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. So last but certainly not least, we had the ROH World Title Match: Chris Jericho versus Mark Briscoe.
Jericho needs to go away. Go on tour with Fozzy, please.
I'm not the biggest fan of Chris Jericho's learning tree here. You know,
I hate the learning tree. It is one of the worst AEW gimmicks, or one of the worst AEW groups, and the worst gimmick that Jericho has done.
Yeah, just not a huge fan of the learning tree. I'm glad Mark Briscoe retained here, and I really like the finish. He beat Chris Jericho using the J Driller, which Chris Jericho had used earlier on the match against Mark Briscoe.
Yeah. Overall, it was an okay match.
Yeah, it was okay.
Young Bucks, I forgot to mention Young Bucks, Private Party. It was the weakest match on the card.
You think?
Yeah. Because the outcome, we all knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. I don't think it was the weakest. I think Chris Jericho versus Mark Briscoe was. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, so that concludes. We're gonna stop there because we already talked about the main event. All right, so on a scale from a 1 to a Sean Spears perfect 10, what would you rank this pay-per-view?
I would rank this pay-per-view a 6 out of 10. I didn't find it to be a great pay-per-view. I thought it was decent. Some of the matches could have been held for a Dynamite or a Rampage. But overall, I thought it was decent. Wasn't great or perfect by any means.
I'm going to give this a 7. I thought it was, like, I agree with you that this was a pretty decent pay-per-view. I feel like some matches on here didn't really need to be on WrestleDream. I feel like you could have had the Beast Mortos and Hologram. You could have had that on as the main event of Collision or Dynamite. I understand why they put it on them on the pay-per-view though.
Yeah.
You know, so
even the matches on Zero Hour, they could have been on a Rampage or a Collision.
Yeah, but the matches on Rampage Zero on like Rampage.
Yeah,
the
you
matches
call
on
it Rampage Zero Hour because that, like we said, that's what it felt like.
It did feel like that, but they weren't too bad of matches. I feel like 0 hour. I feel like a lot of times 0 hour matches could either be a hit or miss. It's like you have a good match, or it's just,
or they're like thrown together,
yeah.
like last minute.
Definitely, but I didn't think this was too bad of a pay-per-view. It was really long.
Yeah, like at points, like when it was like the 10 o'clock hour for me here, I just felt like the show kind of dragged a bit. They need to really shorten these shows.
They do. I could see like the Bucks versus Pride Party. I could see that match should have been a little shorter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree. These are really long pay-per-views. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm on the West Coast, so the time is not a huge factor for me.
Yeah.
But for someone
that she lives on the West Coast.
So my full wrestling starts at 5 and ends at 7. But I do feel like someone on the East Coast, like you, even someone on the Central time, who's like 2 hours ahead. Like this is really a really long show.
Yeah, it didn't end until like 12:30 here.
Definitely. So either shorten the matches, or you give like maybe 8 matches would have been okay.
7, 8 matches, the latest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look what WWE does now with their pay-per-views. 5 matches.
Yeah.
On their card. That's what Tony Khan should do. Like the matches that don't need to be on the card, save it for a Dynamite, save it for a Rampage or a Collision.
Mm-hmm.
These matches that got to be on the pay-per-view, they have to have meaning to be on the card for the pay-per-view. You don't want to just throw names at the wall and let it stick there and be like, oh, yeah, we'll put this on the card. It has no meaning. Just put it on the card.
Mm-hmm. All right, Michael, where can people find you as we get ready to wrap up?
Well, you guys can find me at my YouTube channel here, Michael101591. I do movie reviews. I do DVD, Blu-ray, 4K updates. I do WWE reviews, Monday Night Raw every Monday, SmackDown every Friday. I review AEW Dynamite every Wednesday. Review the PLEs. I have old school commercial breaks on my channel. So if you all are very nostalgic and want to check out stuff in the commercials from the 90s, 2000s, if you're very nostalgic about that time, definitely give them a watch. You could also follow me on Twitter at MikeyBoy101591, and also do live streams as well. Datilla, of course, pops up on my channel from time to time. So definitely subscribe to my channel and check out my content. Very fun content I do.
And make sure you guys check them out. As for me, you can follow me on Twitter at @the_. I talk all things wrestling, WWE, AEW, TNA. I go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, occasional Saturdays and Sundays. Before anybody asks, I'm like Triple H. I don't work Tuesdays.
Well, I tried to get her to watch NXT, but that's not happening
anytime soon. And then for all things TNA, you can check me out every Thursday on Body Slam. And with that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching, and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live for release a new video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow after Monday Night Raw. Hopefully I'll have my webcam. Hopefully I'll have my webcam by then, and my video quality would be so much better than this.
And until I hope that they did whatever, from last week of Monday Night Raw, and they learned from last week's, bad show and not have it rushed for, rush the show for tomorrow. Let's pray that it's a decent show for 2 hours.
Definitely. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.